Grade 6, good morning. We are now in lesson 2. In this lesson 2, we are going to discuss about percentages. So in this concept, we are going to look at comparing quantities using percentages. How do we compare quantities using percentages? Now let's look at examples now. I have some examples on this. Now, example A, 10% of 350 or 20% of 200. Which one is greater or which one is bigger? 10% of 350 or 20% of 250. So in this case, when you are comparing these two quantities, first simplify 10% of 350, get your answer. Then you simplify or find 20% of 200, you get your answer. Then at the end, you compare the two. Now let's look at one by one. 10% of 350. How do we simplify 10% of 350? It's 10 over 100 multiplied by 350 over 1. Right, I think I once discussed about how to find 10% of a quantity. We did that lesson. So for this one, it's not new to everybody. Now on the other side again, 20%, which is 20 over 100 multiplied by 200 over 1. Now let's quickly multiply the numerators alone, denominators alone. So here we are going to have 3,500 over 100 or 4,000 over 100. So if we divide 3,500 by 100, we are going to get 35. 4,000 divided by 100, we are going to get 40. Now let's compare 35 or 40. Obvious, 40 is greater than 35. So in your conclusion, you now say 20% of 200 is bigger or is greater than 10% of 350. So in this exercise, what I want you to do is, we are still practicing on finding percentages of quantities, but at the same time comparing them, finding which one is bigger or which one is greater. So please, when you are finding this 10%, do not forget the previous concept, the previous lesson on how to find the percentage of quantities. Now, can you try the following exercise? Right, in this exercise, which is the larger amount? Tick the correct. 30% of 350 or 20% of 200. 25% of $400 or 5% of 1,000. 50% of 1,100 or 75% of 800. 10% of 250 or 90% of 30. So we are comparing these quantities. So how do we compare? By first simplifying or finding the values, each value for each quantity, then at the end you compare. Thank you very much.